Live from the Pines, episode 83. Tonight we welcome special guest, Waxahachie head coach, Coach Tolley.
How you doing, man? Appreciate the invite. I know it's late, but I appreciate you staying up and allowing us to do this. And man, it's an honor to be here. And like I said before, I appreciate what you do for Texas high school coaches, but mainly the Texas coaches in East Texas.
Man, it's a pleasure to get you on the show tonight, Coach. I've been in communication with you for a little bit of time. I know you've been having a busy schedule, getting everything going over there for y'all this year, and we finally get to make it happen. Trust me, 10 o'clock was a push. It was a hard one, and I actually told one of my buddies, he's like, 10 o'clock? And I was like, man, can't miss this. We got to have him on the show for sure. Awesome. And normally I'd be in bed right now. I'm about to roll over and call it a night. But, man, I appreciate you coming on, Coach. It means a lot. How's everything going in your part of Texas?
Man, it's going well. Got through fall camp pretty healthy. Those two scrimmages that we do because we don't do spring football, and to come out as healthy as we did, I'm excited. When we scrimmage, we don't do it. I don't know how other people do it, but we just we rotate a lot of guys in. And if you're a returning starter for me last year, you don't get a lot of reps in our scrimmages. I know that fans hate that because they want to go win scrimmages, but my thing is to get out as healthy as possible, but also see who the next guy's going to be, and what depth do we have. So, but other than that, it's good, man. I love our staff that we have coming back. I love this group of kids, and just excited to get it going.
Well, Coach, a lot of teams are leaning towards spring football. Let me get the two scrimmages, and a lot of teams are still on the fence of doing it because they say you get to miss install and all those things. But what sticks out to you the most to make you decide to take those two scrimmages?
Well, I learned this from Joey Florence and Denton Ryan, and it's not just the scrimmages. It's scrimmages are good, yes, because you can see live action with your younger guys, but a lot of it is in the spring. We have that where you can do after school weights, so you kind of you could do your off season after school and do the football during the period piece. We try to hit it hard in January to lift weights. February is your install. March 1 is when we start going outside every day. We lift in the morning, and then obviously after COVID, they give you that hour in the summer now to do football skills. My big thing is coaches are fresher. I don't think it's a grind in the spring for them. It allows kids to play multiple sports, and you're not missing much. I think we miss that piece as coaches, and we think you got to have your kids all year round. And I think there's nothing better than a kid that gets to go play other sports and bring value to other programs in our school district, but still come to the athletic period and doesn't miss the stuff that he needs to do for football. So that's my philosophy. Is kids are fresh, I feel like they're fresh, and I think coaches are fresh. I give our coaches off the whole month of July. Once the end of June comes, I tell them I'll see you at coaching school. So, and when I see our kids and our coaches the end of July to give out equipment, I feel like it's like a family reunion, man. When we hug and haven't seen you and how's it going? Tell me about your vacation. And because if our plan was playing until December. So if you go June, July, August, and all the way to December, you're gonna be tired of coming to work. And I don't want our coaches or our kids tired to come to the field house. I want them to be excited to come to the field house.
Well, that sticks out a lot because you hear a lot of coaches talk about how much they have to work during the summer. All those things they're missing out on and everything. But, to each their own. A lot of coaches have their philosophy. They run with it still. And a lot of guys are, adapting to maybe the times and making those changes they think it fits their program necessarily.
Right.
Coach Tolley, what sticks out the most to you about this group you have and, what y'all have built, going back to the fall to now and the guys you have returning from last season that have – had this taste of what it feels like to make the playoffs and get a little bit of a run and all those things?
Well, we have 4 returning on offense. We have a young group on defense. But I always say this: we're young, but we're young and talented, so that's always a good thing. And what sticks out, I guess, in this group is number one is your quarterback that's the leader of our offense and our team. He's a year older. Cohen Brown's a year older. I know he's a senior. Just as far as their leadership, I think our best players, and I know this is a cliche to say, your best players got to be your hardest workers, but I truly have that. Our best players are our hardest workers, and I think that's what sticks out. And I always tell them all the time, don't focus on the end product. Don't focus on the winning. Don't focus on the outcome. Focus on the process. And I think since January, these kids have done that. And I think doing kids and coaches right, winning is the byproduct of the day in and day out, making daily deposits to the process. So excited to watch these kids, I guess, put out there what they've been working on since January. And we always say the winter always asks you, the fall always asks you, what'd you do in the winter? And here we are.
And like you say, those kids that you have coming back being the hardest workers, putting the time in, that sets nothing but leadership for the next group. There's a next group of hard workers behind them paying attention to that. So they know the expectation. It's just not, okay, I'm a star player, but, I'm just going to half-ass today. No, it's every day. We're making statement out of it. We're getting after it. We're showing that we're here to lead this year.
Right. And I for example, Cohen Brown, our receiver, they're working on a route concept, and he didn't run it right the first time, and the coach corrected him. And when Cohen got done with the corrected rep, he ran by the offensive coordinator and said, "Was that what you're talking about, Coach? Was that better? Was that what you wanted?" I mean, the kid's a big time. He's going to Texas. He's going to probably make more money than all of us combined. And for a kid like that to go over there to make sure it was right, then I know I got the right pieces.
That's great. Coach, so you look at your season last year, one of the hardest districts in the state of Texas by far. You got a lot of talent in that district. It's a hard one to, try to make a run at and win it. What do you think, stood out the most last season, getting that competition in that district, getting those, 2 scrimmages out, where I got to prepare a little bit more and got to see a little bit more live game speed?
Well, obviously the starting the year, I mean, you go the Battle 287, one of the oldest rivalries in Texas. Doesn't really have any doesn't dictate our season, but it is big for our town. It's big for our community. It's probably big for Ennis is too. I think it's the 104th meeting of the 2 schools. I think it's a lose-lose for us because if you win it, you're supposed to win it. If you lose it, you lost to a 5A. But that coming off that roller coaster of emotions, because there's a lot going in the festivities around the town before that game, and then you play a really good Capel team that I thought helped us. We lost that in overtime. It catapulted us into the Forney game and then into district. I always say if you can make it out of this district healthy, there's not anybody that's going to be faster. The schemes are different, but as far as the size and the speed, and I think these coaches in this district do a good job of getting the best players the ball, getting them in space, and doing those things. So if we can get out of this thing healthy, knock on wood, obviously everybody's goal is to win a district championship to get that seed, so you're not going to someone's home campus for the playoffs first round. That's every year I've been here, I've always had to play everybody's district champion in the playoffs. So, but either way, if you're going to win it all, you got to beat them all. So it really doesn't matter the road, but it sure does make it better when you can finish higher in your district or even win districts, so you can have a home field advantage.
That's true, Coach. And like you said, speed and size, 2 things you ain't going to see elsewhere. That district has some speed. That's, you take that district together, you put it together, you got a hell of a relay team.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. And I was proud of our track team this past year winning district in this place. So it's I'm proud of our kids. I'm proud of our coaches. We're just, we don't focus on anybody else. We just focus on us.
That's true. Well, Coach, I was asking somebody earlier, and I couldn't get the correct understanding of this question. But when you and your brother were at Denton Ryan, what did you coach?
Say that again.
When you and your brother were at Denton Ryan, what did you coach?
So who's my brother?
I thought you had a brother that was at Denton Ryan.
No, sir. No. I mean, all those are my brothers, but I only have a sister. But now when I came out of college coaching, I did 10 years of college coaching before I went to Haltom City for 6 months, and then and Joey hired me at Denton Ryan. I coached linebackers for 1 year, and then I was the defensive coordinator for 7.
Okay. What did y'all do over there to turn that program around?
Well, I'll tell you, when I was a college coach, I recruited that area. And Joey's, I guess, 2000. I mean, his record speaks for itself. 17 streaks of going to the playoffs, 5 state championship appearances, winning 2 of them. So I kind of just came in and, as a college coach, I mean, I thought I knew some stuff, but I tell you what, I was looking around the Denton Ryan Fieldhouse and all the trophies and all the big games they were in. I said, you know what? When you're with the Romans, you do what the Romans do. So I kind of just shut up and listened and was like a sponge to Joey Florence and David Thomas. And then Dave Hennigan got the job. And luckily I was able, he hired me to be the defensive coordinator and poured into me and it's been good. So I don't know if I had much to do as far as turning Denton Ryan around. My success is their success and their success is my success. I'm just kind of a byproduct of that. And I just always wanted to be in that coaching tree. And the influential impact that Joey Florence had on my life is you can't even talk about it because it's been so unreal, but and him and David Thomas and those guys give me an opportunity to work there every single day and impact Denton County kids has been phenomenal.
That's great, Coach. And it always helps to have mentors that, have did it before and that can give back to you and, make sure you're on the right path. And I'm sure, Waxahachie, you do a great job with your younger coaches. And one thing I've been hearing a lot from a lot of coaches is they want guys that are, working for them that, want to take that next step. They don't want guys with them that are just, complacent and comfortable where they're at. And, that's huge.
Well, I'll tell you, if you ever talk to anybody that worked for Joey, he was hard. He's hard on coaches. Kids love him, mamas love him, but I thrived in that. He checks your chili very often. He lets you know if something's not to the standard, and I try to be that for the most part. I'm harder on my coaches than I am my kids. But I tell you, as a head coach. I've always, as an assistant coach, I always wanted to be the assistant that one day I want to hire. I've been called a Labrador before. I wear that with honor. It's my job to help that defensive coordinator, that head coach paint the picture that he's trying to paint. As long as here in Waxahachie as a head coach, I'm trying to paint the picture of my superintendent. As long as my color is the same color as her green, we're going to win. I might paint diagonal. She might be up and down, but as long as my color is the same as hers, we're going to be okay. And I've always tried to be that way as an assistant coach. It's not about where I'm going; it's where we're going, and it's my job to have the best position out there to make my defensive coordinator look really, really good. And his success is going to be my success. And I've always looked to hire people that are like that and can't turn it off. And I always, every time I interview somebody, I said, I'm looking for people who are looking for me.
That's great. And, everything you said speaks facts right there.
Yeah.
And
when I interviewed
I thought
for
you were
Joey,
frozen on me.
No, when I interviewed for Joey, I told him I want to be here. I want to be here. I took about a $7,000 pay cut to go work there because it's obviously money oils the wheel, but it doesn't make the world go round. So you want to be somewhere where athletics is important, coaches are important, top to bottom, and I wanted to go there. And I told him I'm looking for and Joey's kind of the same way. He wants guys who are looking for him and want to come and pour into kids and coach kids and make it important. He makes you the head coach of your position, and I try to model that here as every coach is responsible for their kids, and their coaches should know who they live with, who's paying the bills, who they date. I should know everything about their grades. I should know what they're putting in their body. The biggest butt chewing I got one day in a staff meeting is I just got the job, and one of my linebackers had a 74 in a class, and Joey asked me, "Did you talk to David?" And I said, "David who?" And that's his father. And I think that's the last time I ever was reminded that I better know everybody about my kids. Not just mom, not just anything. I better know, because when you get parent involvement or guardian involvement, whatever the case may be, the chance of that kid being successful, it just goes up. So it's something I learned from him, and so it's one of those deals, man. It's if you get a bunch of coaches that, to put the pride and the ego aside about what they know and what they can bring is just, I learned that from Eugene Rogers too. Hey, how do you want it? When I was talking to my defensive coordinator, David Thomas at Ben Ryan, every day I might have a different idea, but I said, hey, how do you want it? And that's my job. My job is my number one job is to make sure my kids are prepared mentally and ready to go play and making sure that when he calls a stunt, when he calls a pressure, when he calls a coverage, my guys know what to do. Not my way, but his way. I think the younger generation is missing that.
Is that something that you think y'all are instilling in the younger generation at Waxahachie? Like, are y'all big and like getting back at the lower level, like the youth football league, all the way up to middle school?
Oh yeah, I have a great relationship with my Ellis County United Youth League, my Tomahawk Youth League. Man, there's some great men running those organizations. Man, we open up our facilities to them. I'm lucky that our district allows me to do that. We have a middle school night, and I invite my youth coaches to come and be a part of the middle school night. We do a clinic, and obviously your youth league's not going to do everything you're doing at high school, but man, if a kid is learning what 360 sit is and is your route trees and your coverages and all the way up from 8U to high school, I think that's building it vertically.
And you look at a lot of coaches and you see them, active at the middle school, at the youth leagues. A lot of those coaches are developing programs. That's something me and you talked about off the camera for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
How important is it to develop a program? Anybody in today's times can go, go get that guy they need. You can go find this guy I need. It's people are doing it left and right. We see it every day.
Right.
But, to say, okay, I've watched this kid come up through my program as a middle schooler to the high school level now on Friday nights, and he is out there doing everything I knew he could do at 13, 12 years old. That's huge.
Right. Man, I always say this. We're never going to go look for somebody else's kid, but if a kid moves in, we're going to coach the piss out of them. But it says something about your program and I guess the culture of your program. But nobody sells your program more than your kids. So I can go over there and hype a bunch of youth league kids up. I can go over there and talk to middle school kids all the time. I can do that. But when they're at the bowling alley, when they're at the movies, and they're out in Penn Park playing basketball, or over there at the YMCA, and our kids, real knows real. So when our kids talk about our staff, I'm not saying we're perfect, but when our kids talk about our staff, that is the biggest mouthpiece that any coach can have in the community, is what his kids says about him in the community. That's no different than your own kids in your own home. When they go out in public, how do they speak about their parents? I think that speaks volumes. Knock on wood, we've not lost anybody since we've been here. When we started in 2021, we had 54 freshmen. I have 159 freshmen now. We had 83, 10 through 12. We have 250, 10 through 12. They had 3 teams. Now we have 7 teams. So I think the power's in the numbers. I think, every coach on our staff, we go to every middle school football game. We go to every middle school track meet. I want them to see those kids outside of their own football sport. I want them to identify kids that might play their position. Go tell them how great it is when you have a coach from the high school come to you and go, I cannot wait to coach you. You're going to be mine. I cannot wait to coach you. And I think that speaks volumes to that kid. And when you get to know the family at a young age, as they grow up in the program, I think that's always building that relationship early, versus the first time that kid comes to your campus is going to be freshman orientation. That's not the time where you should learn their name. So that's a big emphasis for us.
You should already know the name.
Right.
What do you think you did different to grow those numbers in your football program? Is it, just opening the doors up to more kids, kids seeing the product now, like, okay, this is something I want to be a part of?
Yeah, obviously winning helps. We haven't went to the standard that I want to. We're still short in that area. But I think that when you do kids and coaches right, I think the byproduct of that is your roles, your numbers, enrollment increases. Um, I think that's the byproduct of winning is doing that right. But we get down in the junior highs. We're very, very visual into the youth leagues. I think that helps you. I don't believe in black and white. I don't believe in running kids off. I think football and athletics in general. I mean, I was raised by a grandmother and football coaches, so um, kids don't kids need football more than football needs them, and I have a lot of third and fourth chances when it comes to certain things. I think kids, when you teach them grace at this age, is a good thing. And sometimes it's bit me in the butt. It has when you give a certain kid a lot of chances and it burns you. But you know what? I'd rather it burn me than ever go home and feel like I didn't give a chance for a kid to be in a program that might save his life.
And like you say, giving those kids those 2, 3, 4, 5 chances, it's just natural habit. You've seen what footballs can do for so many kids, and you've seen how it got kids out of different situations. So it's just in the heart for you to give this kid another chance because you know what this game can do for him if one day he wakes up and says, "Okay, this is what I really want to do."
Yeah, and I don't know how in the world you can be a great employee or you can be a great husband or a great father if you're not first a great teammate. You get caught up in the in the in the I've been guilty of this. I'm guilty of this also, but it's easy to coach the 5 stars. It's easy to coach the kids that are going to Texas and Alabama, and those are the easy ones to coach. And just like teachers that teach only AP classes, and how about getting that modified class? And that's the real challenges. But I talk to our staff all the time. When you're coaching 5 stars and you got a bunch of no stars too in your locker room, because you can go outside right now and I'll tell me name all the trucks you see, and the guy will say, well, there's a GMC, there's a Tundra, there's a King Ranch, there's this. But all right, well, stop and tell me how many white Ford trucks you see. And I guarantee you there's thousands of white Ford trucks all over the parking lot, right? Well, there's white Ford trucks in my locker room right now that will not win a game for us. Will not win a game for us. They think they're invisible. I think the job that I've got to remind myself is to make sure the 5 stars are always easy to see. They're always easy to coach, but make sure your white Ford trucks are seen too. And I think when you do that, that not only does it helps your enrollment and kids want to come out, but it's not about the enrollment that I focus on. It's the kids staying in there. It's the retention of kids. Most kids quit their JV year. Most every kid quits their JV year because they're in that hallway. They're in that I'm not a freshman. I don't get all the focus on the freshman team. The varsity gets all the time, and here I am. I'm the middle child. I get about an hour of practice every day, and we roll the ball out on Thursday. So that's a hard thing for kids to do because they don't know where their role is. I want to be on varsity. I'm not. So I think that's the big thing is find all those white Ford trucks and let them know that they do have a place.
And that's one thing I want to touch on real quick is another thing with development. There's a lot of kids that you don't hear about until that late senior year. And, they might have just didn't get their shine yet. It wasn't their time yet. You look at the kid at North Crowley, Quinn Gibson, it took him one season to do what he did. Nobody knew who he was 2 years ago.
Right.
But he got his one shot and he took advantage of it and he made it count,
Yeah.
And you got a lot of kids out there, and this is not even on the subject. Okay, I'm a freshman here. I'm really good. But, there's a junior ahead of me. Instead of me competing and trying to get that spot, mom and dad just say, hey, let me take you down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I'm not saying there's like, every coach would love to have a, kid move in that could do, do something to benefit their team. But, I think the competition just is not there anymore. Kids aren't, wanting to fight for what matters. You have a few, kids out there that still want it, but you get to a certain point and it's like, okay, I only got one shot.
Right.
I'm just going, why am I wasting my time? I go do something else.
Right.
You get what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think select sports started that. And I'm not taking a shot at baseball or basketball or the circuit. I just think that's where it starts. If I can't start on my select base, if I can't be the starting third baseman on my select team, I go to another select team. And
you remember there was a time in select baseball where only a handful of kids played select baseball.
Yeah.
You had your league ballers, your fall ballers, and you had your kids that did all three.
That's right.
And now it's like little Charlie is playing T-ball for the Dallas Tigers.
Yep.
Little Charlie's driving an hour to go commit to go play with this team.
Yeah.
And they're playing select T-ball. And like we're guilty of, we played select T-ball, but we played like in Lufkin, Nacogdoches.
Yeah.
It was just normal. Like these kids are going to World Series now.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with, because to me, you want your kids to be active. You want them to be having something. Boys will always need to be doing something, and it's good. I just think there's, everything in moderation type deal. So not saying anything negative about the select world out there. I just think that's kind of where it starts. And then they come to high school and they don't make their team, and the parents don't understand because they're the starter of this team or that team. And it's hard. I just think teaching kids how to compete. And if it's not their time, get after it, go work. I mean, I think that'll creep into your job. That'll creep into your marriage. When things don't go right, I'm just going to jump. I got to learn how to freaking dig in, fight for stuff that you want, and go after it.
Coach, I know it's getting late. We'll go ahead and get you wrapped up pretty soon. What are you looking forward to most this season? What's the big thing out there that sticks out from this past year to this year? What are we going to see different about this year's team?
Since I've been here, I think this team's going to be more disciplined. I think the big thing that's kind of plagued us, kind of going through, is just some. When I say lack of discipline, it's not so much lack of discipline in like fighting. There's just some SIWs out there that I want to clean up, and that comes with growth. That comes with being in big games, not getting too big in the moments. I think our kids have played in some big games. I think they're ready to be mature and spot the ball, whether it's down in Houston, down in Dallas, or wherever you got to go play. Just go play. I'm excited about what their potential is. A lot of people want to talk about how good we are right now and claiming that we're going to beat Duncanville and DeSoto, and that is completely rat poison to us. We have not beat them. We have not done anything to deserve to say that we're going to beat them. Where our whole focus on is the Ennis Lions right now. I'm not even worried about anybody else. We're not good enough to be overlooking anybody. I think we have the potential to be really good, but until those games come and you play and you execute in all phases and take care of the football, and then we'll look up and see the score. But right now, we got work to do. Man,
it's pretty funny you say that. I heard some of the kids the other night. We had a big fish fry for Saturday night for the 2025 season, and kids are there cracking jokes and stuff. And somebody was mentioning something they want to go win district and go 10-0 or 12-0, whatever they said. And he was like, the goal is to be 1-0. I was like, that's what I like to hear. Let's take it 1 week at a time. You don't want to overjump the gun.
Nope, because hey, it's easy to do, and especially in today's time where you read your own press clippings and how many offers this kid has or that kid has, or how many guys you got coming back. And I've seen some really, really, really talented teams get knocked out in the first round or not even make it.
You ain't lying about that. There's a lot of teams out there that come in the preseason, everybody's talking about, they got this guy, they got this guy, they got this guy. And then round one comes around and, they're popped.
Yeah. Now, North Crowley won the state championship because they had the better team. I know they had players, but when you watch them, they had the better team than anybody, in my opinion. I think when you look
It
at
stood out.
it stood out. Yeah, he's done a great job in getting those kids because you can have talent and still not win. You still got to get that talent and win it all. I get me and Hennigan get a lot of flack about the kids we had at Den Ryan the year we won it. We went back to back, but I would take the hickey if we didn't win it. I mean, if you got those kind of players, you better win it. And I think that's the deal is to have the better team. I've seen some very, very talented individual heavy teams that don't win it all because at some point the talent's going to be equal. It's going to come down to fundamentals and techniques and who's going to play better as a team.
You're totally right there. And like, how do you get your team to sync like that? Like, you got this kid, you got this kid. Like, how do you like get that eye out of the team? Like everybody's playing for each other. Man,
it's I think, and this is going to sound kind of cliche a little bit, but we have 18 coaches on our staff. I'm number 18, and I try to spend as much time with our guys as possible. I think our kids have got to model, our coaches have got to model what we're preaching to. But I think the best thing you can do as a coach is find ways and is to spend as much time as you can, just like your own family, spend as much time as you can with each other and model that. But you have to, and it can't just be a slogan on the wall. The whole team thing, that's our number one. We have 7 core values in our program. Team's number one. And we talk about it. And we celebrate anything, any action or anything that's done on the field or on campus, in the community that screams team, that screams others before self. And I think when we talk about that and we point out when something is not team, but we try to talk more about the positive and the negative. I think it bounces year in and year out. Kids don't want to be vulnerable anymore. That's the deal. There's 2 things that kids don't want to do. They don't want to put themselves out there because they're afraid they're going to be judged, and their fear of failure. And when you have kids do that, we have to teach them that those 2 things will steal from you as a leader and steal from your team if you care about what people think, okay, and you're scared to fail. Those are the things that we got to get kids out of. And I make them talk it. Like tonight we met before I went home with our player committee, and we talked about the greatest moments of your life. You have 30 seconds to go over the greatest moment in your life. And we were around the table and kids, didn't even know that about that one person, and we just went around the table. But they got to model it, and it filters down, man. It starts at the top and it comes alive at the bottom with our coaches and our player committee to the team. So and again, I don't know if that's the exact science. I just know this. If you don't spend time with somebody, then there's no relationship.
That's 100% true.
It's called a hookup. There's no relationship.
Yeah. That's 100% true. You got to spend that time, and spending time with kids, especially when they can know, like, okay, we have this relationship. It's just not Coach Tolley.
Right. Right.
I'm comfortable with Coach Tolley. Like, they'll do a lot for you then.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. You gotta, and that's the hardest thing to do when kids come in. We like I said, we're on the field at 6 a.m. and we're in there at 5 something in the morning. They're in the locker room, and I'm, kind of doing some odds and ends to get the practice, my plan together, my cards, whatever. And I stop what I'm doing. I have to remind myself, when employees are on the floor, you're on the floor. So when they're in that locker room and it's early, or even after games or after practice, when they're sweaty, the first place coaches want to go after practice is the office and sit. You got to get in those locker rooms, man. That's where it's at. You got to get in those locker rooms, and if they're getting dressed, hey, man, I coached you hard, man, but I love the hell out of you. Man, I love you. Hey, we're going to get better tomorrow. Man, thank you for being just that kind of stuff. I just think that goes a long way.
Well, Coach Tolley, you're doing an excellent job over there at Waxahachie, and I look forward to following you guys this season. And I wish y'all nothing but the best this week against those Ennis Tigers. I hope y'all come out with a bang, man. I'm gonna be rooting for you guys. I'd love to have you back on the show. Also, we got to do it again, man. I thank you for coming on and helping us grow this show and get more in touch with different Texas high school football coaches.
Absolutely, man. I hope my man Quentin Wyatt from Denton. I hope he gets to see this. He's a former alum, there, and my offensive coordinator's coached in Van for a long time, so he reminds me every day that East Texas is better in every way than the Metroplex. So it's cool that I get to be on here and be a part of the great thing you got going, and I appreciate you letting me come on.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Good luck this week.
You bet, man.
Have a good night.
You too.